You know what? I've been settling this whole time. You're not my type, and honestly, I think we're done here. The wine glass in Alessandra's hand caught the candlelight as she said it. We were at Marino's, the Italian place where I'd proposed to her 15 years ago. I'd made the reservation 3 weeks in advance for our anniversary. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'm 47. She's 44. We'd been married for 15 years, together for 17. No kids. Her choice, which I'd respected. We lived in a renovated brownstone in the historic district, the kind of place that looked perfect from the outside. I set down my fork carefully. Okay. Her eyes widened slightly. I think she expected tears, or anger, or begging. Instead, I took a sip of water and met her gaze calmly. Just okay, she said. What else is there to say, Alessandra? You've made up your mind. I thought you'd at least fight for us, she said, and there was something in her voice. Disappointment? She'd wanted a reaction. Fight for what? You just told me you've been settling for 15 years. That you don't want this anymore. I signaled the waiter. Could we get the check, please? We haven't even finished dinner. I'm not hungry anymore. I pulled out my wallet. Are you? She stared at me like I'd become a stranger. Maybe I had. Or maybe she was finally seeing who I actually was instead of who she'd convinced herself I was. The waiter arrived with the check. I paid in cash, left a generous tip, and stood up. I'll stay at the Grandview Hotel tonight. Give you space to think about what you want to do next. I pulled out my phone and booked a room right there. My lawyer's name is Antonio Ricci. Have yours contact him. Your lawyer? You already have a lawyer. I've had Antonio on retainer for 6 years. He handles my business contracts. That wasn't entirely true, but she didn't need to know that right now. Good night, Alessandra. I walked out of that restaurant with my head high and my hands steady. The valet brought my car around. The Audi I'd bought myself last year over her objections that it was too flashy. I drove to the hotel, checked in, and sat on the edge of the bed in that sterile room. Then I called my brother. Dante? It's done. She ended it. Jesus. I'm sorry, man. You okay? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. I feel light. Where are you? Grandview Hotel. I'll be here a few days, then I'm moving into the condo. Dante went quiet. What condo? The one I bought 8 months ago? The penthouse on Riverside. You bought it when? How? Remember when I told you I was investing in that tech startup with Marco and Giovanni? Half of that money went to the down payment. I've been furnishing it gradually, having things delivered to a storage unit. You've been planning this for 8 months? Longer. I saw the writing on the wall 2 years ago, Dante. Maybe longer than that. The truth was, I'd known my marriage was dying for a while. The little comments Alessandra made. The way she'd roll her eyes when I talked about my work. How she'd started spending more and more time with her friend group. Francesca, Bianca, and Gabriella. Women who all seemed to be competing for who could be the most dissatisfied with their marriages. 3 months ago, she'd started working out obsessively. New clothes. New hairstyle. Coming home later and later from her book club meetings. I wasn't stupid. I knew what was happening. So I'd started preparing. Quietly. Carefully. I'd moved money into accounts she didn't know about. Not illegally, but strategically. I'd documented everything. Every business asset, every investment, every penny I'd earned through my consulting firm. I'd backed up our joint accounts, our shared files, everything. Antonio had been helping me prepare for this for 6 months. We had a plan. A good one. You're kind of a genius, Dante said. No, I just paid attention. She stopped wearing her wedding ring 2 months ago. Said it was irritating her skin. Started taking weekend trips with the girls. Bought lingerie I never saw her wear. You think she's cheating? I think she's been emotionally checked out for a long time, and whether there's someone else or not doesn't really matter at this point. We talked for another hour. Dante offered to come stay with me, but I told him I needed the night alone. After we hung up, I ordered room service, took a long shower, and slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I went to the brownstone while Alessandra was at her Pilates class. I packed systematically, clothes, personal items, my grandmother's watch, the photo albums from before we met. I left everything else. She could have the furniture, the art, the wine collection. None of it mattered. I was loading the last box into my car when Francesca pulled up in her Range Rover. Well, running away. I closed the trunk. Moving out. There's a difference. Alessandra told us what happened. You just gave up without a fight. She said she was done. I respected her decision. Francesca's smile was sharp. You know what I think? I think you're scared. Scared she'll realize she can do better. Francesca, I've known you for 8 years. You've been divorced twice. You've cheated on both your husbands. And you're currently having an affair with your personal trainer while your boyfriend thinks you're faithful. Your opinions on relationships don't really concern me." Her face went white, then red. "How dare you? Have a good day." I got in my car and drove away. The penthouse was everything I'd wanted. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. Modern kitchen. 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. A balcony where I could drink my morning coffee and watch the sunrise. I spent the weekend settling in. Dante came over on Sunday with pizza and beer. "So what's the plan?" he asked. "Antonio files tomorrow. I'm asking for a clean 50-50 split of marital assets, which is fair. My business stays mine. I started it before we met, and I have documentation showing she contributed nothing to it financially or operationally. The house is in both names, so we'll sell it and split the proceeds. My retirement accounts are mine, hers are hers. What about alimony? She makes good money as a marketing director. Antonio doesn't think I'll have to pay much, if anything. We were both working professionals throughout the marriage. And if she fights it, then we fight back. But I don't think she will. Alessandra likes things easy. She wants out. I'm giving her out. Fighting makes things messy. I was wrong about that. Antonio called me Tuesday morning. We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "She's hired Valentina Rossi." I sat down. Valentina Rossi was notorious. A shark in designer heels who specialized in taking men to the cleaners in divorces. She was expensive, aggressive, and very good at what she did. "That's interesting," I said slowly. "Valentina doesn't come cheap." "No, she doesn't. Which makes me wonder who's paying her retainer." "Good question. What's Alessandra claiming?" "Everything. She wants the house, 70% of your business, alimony, and she's claiming she sacrificed her career for you." I actually laughed. "She sacrificed nothing. She's been working full-time since we met. She never took a break, never reduced her hours. Her career trajectory has been entirely her own." "I know. That's what makes this interesting. Valentina's good, but she's not a miracle worker. She needs ammunition, and right now, Alessandra doesn't have any. So why take the case?" "That's what I'm wondering." I found out why 3 days later when Bianca showed up at my office. I run a consulting firm. We specialize in helping companies optimize their operations and supply chains. It's lucrative, specialized work. I have 12 employees and annual revenue in the low 7 figures. Bianca walked past my assistant like she owned the place. "We need to talk," she said, closing my office door behind her. "No, we don't. Please leave." "You embarrassed Francesca." "Made her look foolish." Francesca made herself look foolish by having an affair and getting caught. I just pointed it out. "Here's how this is going to work." Bianca sat down uninvited. "You're going to give Alessandra everything she wants. The house, the business, all of it. Or we start talking about your business practices. Valentina has contacts at the IRS, the state licensing board, everywhere that matters. We'll make your life hell." I leaned back in my chair. "Are you threatening me, Bianca?" "I'm telling you how things are." "Interesting. You know what else is interesting? Your husband, Carlo, is a senior partner at Morrison & Associates, one of the biggest accounting firms in the state. I wonder how he'd feel knowing you're threatening me with fraudulent IRS complaints. You can't prove. Everything you just said is on camera." I gestured to the corner of my office. "And audio recorded. I upgraded my security system last year after someone broke into the building. Crystal clear footage, excellent sound quality." Bianca's face went pale. "Now, here's how this is actually going to work. You're going to leave my office. You're going to stay out of my divorce. And if I hear even a whisper that you or Francesca or Gabriella are interfering in my business or my life, that recording goes to Carlo, to your employers, and to anyone else who might find it interesting." "Understood." She stood up so fast her chair rolled backward. "You bastard. Have a good day, Bianca." After she left, I called Antonio. "It's worse than we thought. Alessandra's friends are actively trying to sabotage me." "What happened?" I told him. He was quiet for a moment. "Can you send me that recording?" "Already done." "Good. This changes things. If they're coordinating to extort you or make false complaints, that's conspiracy. That's criminal. I don't want to send anyone to jail, Antonio. I just want a fair divorce and to be left alone." "I understand. But we need to be prepared for war if they're not going to play fair." That night, I got a call from an unknown number. "Hello. Is this him?" Alessandra's soon-to-be ex-husband. The voice was male, young, cocky. "Who's calling?" "Name's Luca. I'm a friend of Alessandra's. Just wanted to let you know she's doing great. Better than great, actually. She's with someone who actually appreciates her." "Good for her. That's all you have to say?" What do you want me to say, Luca? I'm happy she's happy. I hope you treat her well. Wait, what? I said I hope you treat her well. She deserves someone who makes her happy. If that's you, great. You're not mad. Why would I be mad? The marriage is over. She's free to see whoever she wants. There was a long pause. Francesca said you'd lose your mind. Francesca says a lot of things. Most of them aren't true. She said you try to take everything from Alessandra out of spite. I'm asking for a fair 50-50 split. Alessandra's the one demanding 70% of my business and the house. Another pause. That's not what she told us. I'm sure it's not. Look, Luca, I don't know you, and you don't know me. But if you want advice, don't get involved in other people's divorces. It never ends well. He hung up. I texted Antonio. I think Alessandra has a boyfriend. Can we use that? He replied. If she started the relationship before the separation, maybe. But only if we can prove it. Do you want to go down that road? I thought about it. No. Let's stay focused on a fair settlement. The next few weeks were exhausting. Valentina filed motion after motion, discovery requests, temporary orders, demands for financial records going back 20 years. Antonio handled it all with calm professionalism, but I could tell even he was getting tired. Then Gabriella made her move. I got an email at work from a concerned colleague. It contained screenshots of texts supposedly from me to a woman named Isabella, explicitly sexual in nature, talking about an affair I was having. Except I'd never met anyone named Isabella. And the screenshots were poorly faked, wrong phone model, wrong messaging app interface, obviously doctored. I forwarded them to Antonio with one line. They're getting desperate. He called me immediately. This is it. This is our leverage. These are fake, correct? Completely. Can you prove it? My phone records, metadata, everything. Those messages were never sent from my device. Perfect. I'm filing a motion for sanctions. This is spoliation of evidence and an attempt to defraud the court. If we can prove who created these, they're looking at serious consequences. It was Gabriella. How do you know? Because the email came from a burner account, but the IP address traces back to her workplace. I have a friend in IT who owes me a favor. Antonio was quiet for a moment. You've been documenting everything, haven't you? Every call, every email, every threat. I have a folder 3 inches thick. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to see how far they'd go. Now I know. We filed the motion for sanctions the next day. We also filed a police report about the fake messages and provided evidence that Gabriella had created them. 2 days later, Valentina withdrew from the case. Alessandra called me, hysterical. What did you do? Valentina dropped me. She said I was lying to her. I didn't do anything, Alessandra. Your friends did. What are you talking about? Bianca threatened me in my office. I have it on camera. Gabriella created fake text messages to make me look like I was having an affair. I have proof she did it. Francesca's been spreading rumors about me to my clients. Your boyfriend, Luca, called me to gloat about how you'd moved on. I didn't ask them to do any of that. Maybe not. But you certainly didn't stop them either. And when your lawyer realized your friends were sabotaging your case, she bailed. Valentina's reputation matters too much to be associated with fraud. I can't afford another lawyer like her. Then get a reasonable lawyer and ask for a reasonable settlement. I've been offering fair terms from the beginning. You're the one who wanted to fight. She started crying. I didn't want it to be like this. Neither did I. But here we are. She hung up. Antonio called me an hour later. Alessandra's new lawyer reached out. They want to settle. Terms. She's willing to accept a 50-50 split of marital assets. You keep your business. She keeps her retirement accounts. House gets sold. Proceeds split evenly. No alimony on either side. That's exactly what I offered in the beginning. Yes, it is. Should I accept? Yes. Let's end this. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. We sold the brownstone for $40,000 more than we'd expected. Apparently, a bidding war broke out between 2 tech executives who both wanted it. I signed the papers in Antonio's office. Alessandra wasn't there. We'd arranged separate appointments. How do you feel? Antonio asked. Free, I said. Honestly, just free. You played this perfectly, you know. Everything by the book, everything documented. When her friends tried to sabotage you, you had evidence ready. That's rare. I learned a long time ago that hope for the best, but prepare for the worst is more than just a saying. I drove back to the penthouse with the windows down, music playing. It was a beautiful spring afternoon. The river sparkled in the sunlight. My phone rang. It was Dante. It's done, I told him. Officially divorced as of 2 hours ago. Congratulations, I think. How do you feel? Like I just got out of prison. He laughed. Dinner tonight? My treat. Yeah, that sounds good. I spent the evening with my brother at our favorite steakhouse, the one Alessandra always said was too masculine and too loud. We ate rare filet mignon and drank expensive bourbon and talked about everything except my divorce. When I got home, there was an envelope under my door. Inside was a handwritten note. I'm sorry. I was wrong about so many things. I let my friends poison me against you because I was scared of admitting I was the problem, not you. You deserved better than what I gave you. I hope you find happiness. I read it twice, then put it in a drawer. Maybe someday it would mean something. Right now, it was just words on paper. I poured myself a glass of wine and walked out onto the balcony. The city lights twinkled below me. Somewhere out there, Alessandra was starting her new life. And so was I. My phone buzzed. A text from Marco, my business partner. Contract signed. The Donovan project is officially ours. 6-figure deal, 12-month timeline. Drinks tomorrow to celebrate. I smiled and typed back, absolutely. My treat. Another text came through, this one from a number I didn't recognize. Hi. This is Sophia from the bookstore. You left your jacket here last week. I've been holding on to it for you. Stop by any time. Sophia, the woman with the bright smile who'd recommended 3 books to me, all of which had been excellent. We'd talked for 20 minutes about mystery novels and travel and the best coffee shops in the city. I'd been too married to think of it as anything but a pleasant conversation. Now things were different. I texted back, I'll stop by tomorrow afternoon. Thank you for holding on to it. She responded immediately, great. See you then. I set my phone down and took a sip of wine. Tomorrow I'd pick up my jacket. Next week I'd close the Donovan deal. Next month I'd take that trip to Florence I'd been putting off for years. The future stretched out ahead of me, full of possibilities I hadn't allowed myself to imagine in a long time. Alessandra had said I wasn't her type. Looking back, I realized she hadn't been mine either. We'd both been settling, just in different ways. But I wasn't settling anymore. I raised my glass to the city lights, to new beginnings, to the life I was building on my own terms. To freedom, I said out loud. Somewhere in the distance, a church bell chimed. The river flowed quietly below, and I stood there on my balcony, 47 years old and finally, genuinely happy. The war was over, and I'd won. Not because I'd destroyed Alessandra or taken everything she had, but because I protected myself, played fair, and come out the other side intact. That was the real victory. I finished my wine, went inside, and started planning my trip to Florence. Life, as it turned out, was pretty damn good when you stopped fighting battles that didn't matter and started focusing on the things that did. And tomorrow, I'd go see Sophia about that jacket. Maybe we'd talk about books again. Maybe we'd grab coffee. Maybe nothing would come of it. But maybe, just maybe, something would. And that possibility? That was worth more than 15 years of settling ever was.